All right, welcome to another episode of Kiss My Assets. I am Jameson Manwaring, co-founder, CEO of Neighborhood Ventures, and we have a great team on with us today. Bart Dill, who is our Director of Marketing. Hey, Bart.
Howdy.
Hi, Bart.
And his partner in crime,
Yes.
Heather Andrews in Investor Relations. Hey, Heather.
Hi.
So we have some exciting stuff to talk about today in the world of multifamily. And the first thing I want to start out with is this new report that just came out in the last quarter with some of the transactions that occurred in the Phoenix metro area. We know transactions are way down. So that is occurring both with single family and with apartment buildings. But transactions are still happening, and the ones that are happening at a pretty attractive sell price for the seller. So I want to look at a few of these. And these are transactions for buildings over 100. And here's the top that happened in the last quarter in the Phoenix metro area. So this first one, this is Tempe, 263 units, and it sold for $560,000 a unit. So this is an apartment building that's selling for $560,000 per unit. That's a lot even for a house. So obviously, this is a nice apartment building, just built 2021. I'm assuming this is probably one of those buildings that has multiple people living in a unit. So I think this is like a 4 people in a unit, and then they rent each one. But for $560,000 unit, really strong price point. And then the Griffin, who we have a coworker who has lived here before, said it's very nice. 277 units, $461,000 unit. So these prices have not come down. And I always look at the price per square foot. So the prior one is $482. The last one is $300 per square foot. And then Alta Raintree, another one, $428,000 unit, $450 a square foot. Our last building that we acquired, the one on 17th, Venture on 17th, we acquired it below replacement cost. We got it around $250 a square foot, and that's for a brand new 2019 building. So I feel even better about that one as you see some of the comps and some of the recent sales. And then I want to scroll down. So these are 3 additional sales that occurred in the last quarter, and these are under 100 units. And these are all really strong price per unit too. So this first one, these look like townhouse style, and they sold for $750,000 a unit. 15 million for 20 units. I mean, that is not a cheap unit. And 432 unit. And then you can see the other one, Canal on Baseline in Kenta Waterfront, still even the waterfront was 362 unit. And these are newer product, all built in the last couple of years. Has something to do with why they get these higher price point. The transactions are happening. They're just happening. They're happening less, but it's good to see some of these that are happening. So as you can see from this data, the last 2 quarters, the transaction volume has been way down. I mean, it's compared to the end of 2021. Just looking at it here, here's 2021. Here's the last couple quarters, and this is 2 quarters in a row. So we're starting to see a trend. This is similar to what we're seeing when it comes to the sale of single family homes. People do not want to sell single family homes right now, and the same is true with apartments.
So with respect to multifamily, can you explain why, for people who may not know, why transaction volumes are down?
Yeah, so one of the main drivers is right now interest rates are higher. And we know that the Fed has driven interest rates higher, and they put it into what's called a restrictive territory. So they're trying to slow the economy down by putting interest rates in the range that they're in. And at some point, the Fed will come back to a moderate interest rate range. And when they do that, then you'll see transactions occurring again, because when you go buy a piece of real estate, you're typically getting debt on that real estate. And anything that has a fixed income stream, like apartment buildings that are paying the same every month, if your debt, the cost of debt goes up, then the profit goes down. So when rates are at an elevated status like they are right now, that decreases the value of real estate. And a lot of folks who own buildings, they're just saying, we're not going to sell right now because the properties are doing well, they're cash flowing, and they would rather wait and sell at another time, maybe in a year or two.
And I know we talked a little bit that on our live stream, and why we're holding on to properties for a little bit longer. The same idea, and that our properties are staying leased up and profitable, and so waiting for the right time in the market to sell.
Yeah, and if you own an asset and it's cash flowing, you have no need to sell it, then you're not likely to do that today. Now, if you have to, if you own a single family home, you have to move cross country for a job. Those types of things that are happening are what's driving the sales, but they're kind of the one-off that happen on a single family basis. When it comes to apartment owners, some of the buildings that are selling, people get in a situation where they maybe a partnership has come apart. In the case of one of the buildings we recently bought, the owner passed away, and his mom inherited the building and didn't want to hold it anymore, so they sold it. So there's some transactions that are occurring, but it's not the normal flow that we see.
I know it's a good time to own multifamily, I think.
Yes. So I'm going to transition over to some other headlines that are happening in Phoenix around real estate and around the economy. We saw that this new tower was approved in Phoenix, and this is going to be the tallest tower that we have in Phoenix. So that's pretty cool.
I love that.
We have, you can see by the look of this thing, this is definitely going to add to our skyline.
It's too tall.
And when you do a tower like this and you're going to be the developer who's going to build it, it is a long-term commitment. This is a Scottsdale-based developer. This is going to be over $500 million project, 45 floors. It'll be taller than the Chase Tower now, which is the tallest currently. And it sits on 2 acres on Van Buren and Fillmore, right in downtown area. They're going to begin in 2024 with the project, second quarter, and it will be built in 2 phases. But when they're done, we're looking at 700 apartment units, a hotel, a bunch of commercial office space, and then also commercial office and retail space, and then a lot of parking to accommodate that. The one thing that's got a little bit of controversy earlier in the year as this project has gone through zoning, was that there's a lot of government incentives for these guys. So the way that this works is the city is leasing back the property from the developer for 8 years, which basically means during those 8 years, they are not going to have to pay the tax to the city for that time. And then after that, it would go back to the developer, and they'd have to start paying tax. So there was some pushback from local folks who don't like this sort of project being built. The city ended up approving it. So you guys are both Phoenix natives. Are you tired of seeing all this type of development? Are you gonna move out of Phoenix now that this has been approved?
Never leaving Phoenix.
I love cranes. So if I get to see some big cranes putting a tower together, I'm fired up for it. And I agree with the city. Maybe reducing the tax implications. I think you said 8 years makes sense when something's going to come in and it's going to generate business. It's going to generate wealth in the economy. So I'm all for it. I'm for this project. I hope it works out well.
I love this trend of these mixed use spaces. I
Yeah.
think that we're seeing that more and more, that it's never just one thing. And so I think, and also growing up here, Van Buren, that area, very different vibe a number of years ago. And so this is really exciting to see the change.
Jameson,
What do you mean? What do you mean a different vibe? A few years ago, what was the vibe?
Well,
For those of us who don't
growing
know.
up, we were told not to go down to Van Buren. I was not allowed to go down to
Yeah.
Van Buren. And now this would be a very exciting place to go.
no, downtown Phoenix is
Yeah.
definitely changing, and
Yep.
it's changing for the better.
Yes.
It's getting safer. I feel like it's
It's getting cooler. Like it's cool.
yeah, it's cool. It's a cool place to go. It's a destination. Whereas in the past, it was
Yeah.
just downtown Phoenix.
That was kept your doors locked. And now,
Yeah.